They come through an inverter up there, which transfers the electricity from DC to AC.
Okay.
As I say, then it feeds my computers and lighting and stuff in here. And
so what's the reading?
Well, the reading at the moment is, yeah, that's the meter. Not very much. You've got 14 watts, which is probably not as less as you'll ever get. 14 watts generated. That is just over 4,000 kilowatt hours altogether since we've had it installed. This hasn't been installed as long as the rest of the house things. This has been only up for about 3 years, and 2,300 kilograms of CO2 saved since then.
Very good. And this has been installed for how many years
now?
now?
I think it's about three or 4 years now. I can't quite remember. 3.5 years, something like that. So this is where the road was dug up. You can see the marks in the tarmac here. So we obviously had to get permission to do that. From Oxford City Council, permission from the Environment Agency to draw water from the Thames here. It's not running at the moment, unfortunately, but that's where it comes in. There's a filter and a pipe and an electric pump in there, which sucks the water up and sends it underground. It goes through the heat pump, comes back out of that pipe down there, which you can just see the white pipe on there.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's turned itself off.
Okay, so it's obviously reached
yes,
temperature.
it's maybe something to do with a bit of solar we've had. When the sun gets going, it can take over from the heat pump.
Uh-huh.
And we've got underfloor heating on 3 levels, and upstairs, on the 2 levels upstairs, it's the pipe works in something called pugging, which is a very dry sand cement mix.
Right.
With insulation underneath. So everything is underfloor heating. There are no radiators.
Right. And did you put any additional insulation on the walls, or?
Oh yes. The first thing we did. Keep on forgetting the most important thing. Yes, of course, we insulated. It's quite an old house, 4.5-inch solid brick walls and in a lot of cases actually only 4.5-inch brick external walls. So we battened out with 4x2 studs
on the inside.
On the inside,
yeah.
Put rock wool insulation in that 4-inch space, and then I actually put stuff called Thermocell on the inside, which is a nice sort of mixture of a timber cement mixture, composite board, which is nice, warm to the touch, slightly better thermal performance than plasterboard, and it's better to fix too. I like it.
Uh-huh.
And on the new extension, it was timber frame as well, with layers, rock wool in between the timber frame, and then another layer of rigid foil-backed insulation across the studs to give extra insulation there. And that was the construction technique I used on the roofs as well, where the rooms go into the roofs. So it's rock wool in between the rafters, and then a layer of foil-backed insulation underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and double glazing everywhere. Spent quite a bit of time making sure the place was well insulated.
What would you say? I mean, I think one of the key issues is that we've got an existing housing stock in the UK, and therefore, I mean, to actually significantly increase the efficiency, are we talking about retrofit for major changes on those houses to improve the efficiency? Is it going to be it sounds like it's going to be a real big deal for people to make that next step up to a higher specification.
Yeah. Well, what I did here was not with that in mind. Obviously, we did an awful lot here on an awful lot of fronts, and it cost us quite a lot of money. And no way would I be recommending this as an example of what everybody should do with their house, because it was very extensive. But I did it because I wanted to see, the various sort of systems in operation, test them out. But for the vast majority of existing Victorian housing stock, whatever, I think a lot of the ideas are very relevant, and certainly, you know, this business about insulating first, perhaps
Right.
battening out internal insulation, all that sort of thing, I think is very relevant for existing housing stock.
So that would be a first step for anybody thinking of trying to make that next step, that next improvement.
Yeah, insulating is pretty obvious, really, and it's very straightforward, and you know, there's lots of information about how to do it. The thing that's not quite so obvious sometimes is how one can look at the house spatially and decide how you might just reconfigure it to stop heat losses, which is not just a sort of banging in insulation, but maybe you look at an entrance lobby and you decide to make an entrance lobby out of a part of the hall or something like that to cut down heat losses. So some of it is spatial, but most of it is just getting hold of some insulation, sticking a load of insulation in, and upgrading things generally. You know, and it's not just walls and roofs and ceilings. I've quite often seen people sort of renewing their floor and forgetting to insulate the floor. An awful lot of heat, especially around the perimeter of the floor, goes out of the building through the floor. So you know, think about insulating the floor as well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thanks very much, David.